Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally back with another episode of the Prose podcast. Today's episode, I wanted to talk about the difference between guilt versus shame. And if you're watching this now, I want you to pause this video and just think about it for yourself as to which one you think would be better, like the better emotion to experience. Like, do you think that it's guilt? Like, is guilt better to feel, or is shame better to feel? So I want you to pause it right now. Okay, so the answer is not so simple, but I hope that by the end of this podcast you can definitely figure out what is better for you to feel and what can help you continue about your life without holding you back, which emotion that is. So the difference between guilt and shame is the feeling of I've done something bad versus I am a bad person. So guilt is the feeling that I have done something bad, but shame is the feeling that I am a bad person because of the actions that I've taken. And it's really important to separate the two, because for me, I think that guilt is a better emotion to have, because you're not going to be perfect in this lifetime. You're going to continue making mistakes, and you're going to be at fault for different situations that you may put other people in, or you may put yourself in, that in turn has an effect on other people. And so I think the biggest reason why it's so important to differentiate these two feelings is that shame is actually correlated with self-harm and addiction and a whole bunch of problems that people now put themselves in danger, put themselves in bad situations, and continuously put themselves in bad situations because they're ashamed of who they are, versus feeling guilty about a situation. And so it's like, I was wrong for doing that, or I did something wrong. But it's like, to separate who you are as a person from an action that you took is actually important. People think that it's like, oh, if you have the ability to do this, then that must be in your character. And that's not true. Like, people can make mistakes. People are allowed to make mistakes. People are not going to be perfect all the time, and you're not going to be able to please every single person. And so even though your intentions might be right, and I think that is something that can separate you from thinking that this is a you problem versus you just making a mistake, is to know what your intention was before you did this thing that may have hurt somebody else or hurt yourself. Like, did you go into it really like, oh, I don't really care, like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and if whoever gets hurt in the way, that's not my problem? Then yes, maybe you need to check a character flaw, a personality flaw in yourself. But then it's like, if you went into it like not really thinking about how it may affect other people, and you just did something and your intention was not to hurt the other person, then I don't think that is a character problem. I truly think that it was a mistake that you made. And what I do think is that you can make a mistake. The whole point is that you have to learn from it. You have to figure out like why I did this and what I can change so I don't do this again. And and literally it's like the difference between intent and effect. And so it's like, yes, my intention was not to hurt you, but it did in fact hurt you. So now I can learn from that and realize how I have to move with you. That you may be sensitive to certain things, or you may not like when I talk about certain things. But that doesn't make me a bad person. That doesn't make me a bad friend. It's just that how you react to certain things that I say, even if I'm not trying to be offensive to you, you take it offensively. So now I know not to say these certain things. And that's it. Has nothing to do with you. You don't need to have any shame over that. So one thing that I will say was, when I was dealing with shame of myself, of my situation, of who I was, of who I thought I was going to become because of the mistake that I had made and all that stuff, I think one thing that I had to really work on was how I spoke to myself and about myself. And so it's like, as much as I was not being completely suicidal like I used to be, or like completely always depressed, I realized I still felt shame about myself, and I didn't trust myself. because of the way that I was speaking about myself. Like, where I would just make a simple mistake. Like, I would be talking to my friend and I make a mistake and then I call myself stupid. Like, wow, Prose, like, that's so stupid. Like, you're so stupid. And I'm like, if somebody else said that to me, I would take offense. If I was, and I would never say that to somebody else. So why am I okay with saying that to myself? And that only feeds into your shame. It makes you feel worse about the situation. And then also it's like, sometimes you have to think about something like, I can't change what happened in the past. Like, I really cannot. So how can I move forward? Like, that's the only option is, well, there's two options, is to really be stuck in the past and let life pass you by and just you be sad for yourself for the rest of your life, or you try to move forward. But the thing is that when you try to move forward, you can't just be like, oh, forget everything that happened in the past and just move forward. No, you actually need to assess everything that happened and make sure that you're making active changes to not repeat the same thing, but also to forgive yourself for the mistake that you made, and to again separate the act versus the person. And so an important thing for me to start talking about myself better was to have people around me who heard me say stuff like that and would check me on it and say like, hey, that's not nice. Like, don't say that about yourself. Like, you're not stupid, Prose. Like, relax. It's not that serious. And so it's like, when you keep people around you, you actually realize how often you talk negatively about yourself, and then you can realize how much of a problem it is. And so it's like, as much as you may think it's a little joke, like, haha, like, no, people who really feel great about themselves at all times, they don't make little jokes about themselves. They really don't. It's like, maybe I'll talk about a little thing, like, I don't know, a little appearance thing. Like, I talk about the fact that I'm short all the time. I mean, that's a fact, you know, and I make a joke out of it. But it's really, I probably do that mostly because it's just like, I'm gonna make the joke before you can, because it's like, yeah, I like, that's a fact. That's something that I can't change. But about like personality traits and something that actually like has an effect on how I see myself, I'm not gonna make light of that, because, and also I think what helped me was having a child and realizing that if I talk to myself negatively, if she hears me talk to myself negatively, she's going to think that that's okay for her to say about herself. And as a parent, I would not want her to feel that way about herself or anything like that. I want her to have the highest self-esteem possible. And so it's like, I had to fix up so that I could do that, but so that I could be a good example for her. But without the child, I think that me telling you and you having friends around you and everything to let you know, like, it's not okay to continuously make jokes. It shouldn't have to take you being an example for somebody else. Be an example for yourself and be like, no, like, we're not doing that, and feel as good as you would want to feel about yourself and talk as highly as you want to feel. And so it's like, I want to feel like, while I was still calling myself certain names or just like teasing myself, I wanted to feel 10 times better. So I started talking to myself 10 times better until my feelings matched up with what I was talking. And it really happened a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. And so the confidence and everything that I finally got back after it was like ripped away from me, not by anybody else, by my own doing or anything like that, but it's just like, when I finally got it back, I was like, I'm not letting this go to waste. I'm not letting this leave me again and feel bad about myself again. So I'm going to continuously talk to myself and about myself like I am that. So the other thing is about keeping people around you, like I said, who hype you up, and really getting rid of the people who bring you even more shame. And so I'm going to try to keep this as non-specific as possible, but I had people in my life who all they wanted to talk about was my past. Like, that's all they wanted to talk about. And it's like, not asking me how I want to do in the future, anything like that. And almost being like, yeah, like, wow, like that was a rough time, huh? And everything. And so it was like they were feeding into my shame, and they were almost trying to shame me, because at the moment that they felt like I was feeling good and Gucci about myself, it's like, oh, let me remind you, you know? And so I had to start weeding those people out. And this, to be honest, if I'm really honest, I still have a few people in my life who are like that, but they're nowhere as close as we used to be, just because I'm like, I can't have that in my head 24/7. And maybe I need to sit down and actually have a conversation with them and tell them like the certain things that they're saying. Again, like, maybe that's not your intention, but that's how I'm receiving it. Maybe we could fix it if I was to actually sit down and talk to them. But you know, like, I'm very in a place of just like good vibes, good energy and everything. And so it's like difficult conversations I am willing to have, but I also try to like save my breath to realize, if I feel like this is a constant thing and I feel like this is a friendship worth saving, then yeah, sure, we can have a conversation. But if I'm just like, you're kind of toxic, so I'm going to back away from this situation, then I don't feel like everything needs a conversation. But whatever. So the person or people who are causing shame in your life, or like reminding you of where you used to be or the things that you used to do, and all that stuff, shame is a tool of oppression. And so it's like, by reminding you about where you come from and the fact that you're not going anywhere in life or anything like that, not the fact, their opinion that you're not going anywhere in life, that because of the mistake that you made, that your life is now dead set, there's nothing you can do to change it, anything like that. It's a form of oppression. It's a way to keep you in the state that you are, or you once were, for their own confidence. And so it's like, if somebody who made a detrimental mistake, right, somehow gets over it, gets past it, does better, is doing great things in this life, and them who didn't make no detrimental mistake but are just stagnant in their lives, they feel a type of way. And so they must oppress you by constantly bringing up your struggles. You got to get rid of them, because they will constantly try to remind you, and you'll find yourself not only, hopefully that it won't be enough to deter you from going after your goals, but you'll find yourself kind of going after your goals for the wrong reasons. It's almost like to prove them wrong, or to prove to them that you're more than that. And it's not even worth your time. Like, don't even worry about that. It's about you. It's about you. Prove to yourself that you are good. Prove to yourself that you are better. Because I can bet you all of the things that they're saying, you already felt that about yourself. So you don't need to get better to change their opinion. You need to get better to change your own opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's just you in this world. Yes, you got your family, you got your friends, you got the people with you. But when you close your eyes at night, it's just you and your thoughts. And you need to make sure that your thoughts are positive. You need to make sure that your thoughts are congruent with the life that you're trying to create for yourself. You need to make sure that your thoughts are healthy, and you need to make sure that your thoughts will help guide you in the right path and direction. So all it comes down to is you and what you think of yourself, and forget them. And I know it's not hard. It is hard to forget people, especially if it's people who you're close to or you care about. But at the end of the day, you have to be selfish in certain aspects. I don't care who it is. I don't care, family, friend, sister, mother. I don't care. I'm talking about setting up boundaries. It's not cutting people off. You don't have to cut people off if the relationship is that important to you. You don't have to cut people off. But you do need to set boundaries in order for you to heal, so that when they talk their talk, it just slides right off of you. And to the point where they'll get over it. They will get over talking to you any type of way, because you don't even respond anymore. Your life is so much past that, where it's just like, why are you still talking about that? Like, are you still there? Because I'm not there. So are you pressed? Like, why are you pressed? And for my parents out there, mind you, I am a new parent-ish, whatever. My daughter is 4, going on 17, I want to say. But I just wanted to give a tip that I have learned, and because I think it can start from young, and it's better to set yourself up now where the child can still kind of remember, but not so much. It doesn't like affect their whole livelihood if you make mistakes with it. But it's like, remembering to not use shame as a parenting tool, as a parenting mechanism. It's not it. Like, making your child feel worse about something that they did doesn't solve anything. Like, you think, oh, they'd never want to feel like this again. But all that, to me, I can tell you, as being a child, a daughter, it's like, when shame was used in a form of punishment, because I wasn't really like physically punished or anything like that, but like I was talked to. And so it was like, when I was talked to and and my parents tried to understand me, I felt like, okay, great, I can tell, I can say what's on my mind, all that stuff, and figure out like why I made this decision and everything like that. But when shame was used, instead of it being like, oh, I'll never do this again, how I registered it was, if I make a mistake, I'm not worthy of love. Like, if I make a mistake, I am a disappointment. If I make a mistake, the people that I love will leave me. And that happened to me as a child. And so, like, obviously as an adult, I can figure out like, oh, they're disappointed and they're talking from their emotions. But it's like, as a child, they can't think that critically to know that this is not coming, that you're not personally attacking them. But when you try to use shame as a form of punishment, it truly can be a detriment to your child in the future. There's even a study that shows about children who are under 4, where their main goals and main focus in life is love and food and fun. That's really about it, right? They don't think too heavily about anything. Really, you see things brush off their shoulder, all that stuff. But when a parent uses shame, they equate it to being unlovable, and it almost feels like death for them, for a kid, for a very young infant. Obviously, we know it's not that dramatic, but like the feeling of just like their world coming down around them is feeling unlovable at such a young age, because that's all they know. It's like just love, like they just love everything. And I sit down and I talk to my daughter, and it's just like, what do you like? I love this and I love that and I love that. Like, love is everything. They use that word so much, and it's truly the emotion that they feel. Like they might not be able to pinpoint it as love, but in terms of strong emotion, they have it towards so many things, because kids that young are just innocently filled with so much love. And so the moment that they feel like they're not getting that back from their parent, it almost feels like I'm worthless. Like, I have no point in this life. That's me using adult words, but imagine how that feels to a 3 or 4 year old. It literally feels like their world is ending. So just like how you shouldn't hold on to shame as an adult, you do not bring shame into your parenting style. And the last part of shame versus guilt is actually turning it on people who did something to you, and not making them feel ashamed for it, and not even making them constantly feel guilty for it by constantly bringing it up. I think my last episode was about forgiveness and forgiving yourself, but you also have to forgive people for the actions that they took with the knowledge that they had at that point. And so when you think that your parents were too harsh or too this or too that, and not as loving as you needed them to be, you also have to think about who their parents were. And so it's like for me, I would think that sometimes about my parents, right? And then I would look at who their parents were, and the houses that they were raised in, and they did 10 times better than what they were raised in. It's just that I needed more, but that's okay. That's okay. And now, and I try to create that within myself, that love that I wanted so much, and I wanted hugs and all that stuff. And now, unfortunately, I'm in a place where I don't really like to be touched and all that stuff. I don't know why, but it doesn't feel good anymore. And so I'm sure that if I was hugged and kissed on and coddled, not even coddled, but just physically loved, and not just kind of told that sometimes, like here and there, I might have been more open in receiving love, and also knowing when I was going out into relationships what like true love felt like. But I'm not going to now hold that against my parents and hold that against them for the rest of their lives and be like, you should have done A, B, and C, and D, and telling that to them, all that stuff. All I do is I take note and I say, I'm not going to repeat these certain things in the family that I built for myself. And minus kids, I'm not going to repeat these certain patterns in the love that I built for myself, because that's important too. It's not just repeating family cycles, but it's also for yourself. Like, if you're going to be by yourself or in a relationship, not in a relationship, no kids, whatever, the most important is that you build the love that you needed, you build that within yourself. And that takes a lot of breaking down of the negative feelings that you've had, but it is possible. And the main thing is that you have to work on not feeling shame about mistakes that you did, or feeling shame about like where you've come from, the family that you've come from, anything like that. Like, you have to really work on accepting your circumstances, accepting the things that were happening in your past, and trying to make it better however you can. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's literally waking up and making a decision every single day to feel better about yourself, and waking up every single day and deciding, I'm going to say something better about myself today. Or literally little things, little steps to help make you into the person that you're supposed to be, because you are not supposed to leave this earth feeling terribly about yourself. Like, if you have the ability to fix it, I think now is the time to fix it. In our young 20s and all that stuff, you don't want to go into adulthood just carrying on to some kind of like hatred in your heart for something, someone, somewhere, even yourself. You don't want to carry that around for the rest of your life. It's just, it's a whole other luggage. It's a whole other bag. And so it's like, in order for you to even really be able to climb to the place that you need to be, I truly feel like letting go of shame is important. I think letting go of guilt is important too as well, but I do think that is an emotion that you should feel at some point in your life if you've done something incorrectly. And I think feeling guilty about it, learning from it, moving on from it is fine. I wouldn't hold on to shame or guilt. I would, try to dismantle that as much as I can so that I can live my best life. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was very thrown together, but I've been thinking about this for a long time, so I really hope that you learned something from this, you took something away from this. Again, this podcast is not going anywhere. It's super important to me, and as I come up with more topics and more things to talk about, I will be back with another one. I'm going to try to make this more consistent, but we shall see. I just don't want to, come on here and just talk about anything. I want to have like good topics. Again, this is my main channel. I'm not making a separate channel. I'm going to just combine everything on here until I find what my niche is and what I enjoy recording the most and what works with my school schedule. But I have the Prose podcast. I also have Plan with Prose. That's my Instagram. But it's going to be on this channel, and basically it's just about me as a student mom and my studying habits, note-taking tips, all that stuff. And I have started filming a weekly vlog, so that should be out by the end of March, because I'm going to try to film a bunch so that I can post it, hopefully weekly, maybe bi-weekly. So again, follow me on Instagram at Prose Michaela and at Plan with Prose, and subscribe, like, and share and comment on my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.